Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Youth Vaping, the Problem and the Solution webinar. It is now 3 o'clock, so we are going to get started. I am going to be your host for today. My name is Leticia Guerrero, and I am the Youth Initiatives Training Specialist for Texas School Safety Center. Thank you all for already starting the chat. We have y'all are introducing yourselves and it's looking really good so far. So as your host, it's my job to kind of go over some important points and some important topics. So first thing that we want to do is we love seeing all the chats coming in and everybody introducing themselves. But for today's session, what we're going to want is for y'all to be using the Q&A portion chat in the Zoom feature. And so what we're going to be doing is all the questions that you have or comments that you may have during this webinar, we would like you to use it there so that way me as a host can kind of make sure that we're getting all the questions answered at the end of our session. However, there's about 100 plus of you on right now, or actually more than 200 of y'all that are on right now. And so we're probably not going to have time to go over all of the Q&A questions. And so what we're going to be planning to do is we are going to export those questions and we're going to email them to you and to everyone at the end of the session. So that's why it's very important to use the Q&A feature only. The next thing is as you were hopping on, you probably noticed that Zoom looked a little bit different, right? That's because we are in a webinar session, so your cameras and your audio should not be working right now. And then also too, this webinar training is going to be recorded, just so that way we can upload it and email you everything that is covered today after we're done and after we're completed. Also, thank you so much for joining us today. And because of that, you're going to receive a certificate of attendance. Okay. And so what this means is that you will, we thank you for joining. And then, but there is a portion of it where you'll have to complete an evaluation prior to you receiving the certificate of attendance. Okay. So after our webinar, you'll receive an email. In that email, we'll have a link for the evaluation. And then after you complete that, then a certificate will be sent your way. Okay. And finally, because we are electronic right now, if you happen to have any issues or difficulties throughout the webinar, there's a contact number here. His name is Justin. He's from our IT department, and you can call him with any questions or issues that you may have. Okay. All right, so like I said, today I am the host, but today Kathleen Bates is our presenter for this afternoon. Okay, and Kathleen is dedicated to educating and empowering people of all ages to support healthy communities. And Kathleen has actively engaged in prevention since graduating from the University of Texas at San Antonio with a degree in science and specializing in community health in 2012. She also received her master's in public health education and promotion from the Texas State University in 2019. Her background comes from San Antonio Council on Alcohol and Drug Awareness, where she found the love of working with youth and communities and where it truly flourished. Kathleen currently serves as the program manager for the Youth Communities Initiatives program, which is located here at the Texas School Safety Center at Texas State University, where she manages multiple statewide programs focused on engaging youth in substance use prevention and school safety initiatives. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to Kathleen.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the introduction, and I am really looking forward to spending the next hour with you all talking about a really important topic, youth vaping, and the problem, the solutions. I know so many schools and community-based organizations who serve youth are trying to figure out what to do. There's a lot going on. And so as you can see, I'll be covering several topics during the training. So I'll review current usage rates and popular devices and flavors. I'll also discuss nicotine concentration levels and why there is a concern for it. And then also I'll connect you with several programs and resources that are available to help address youth vaping. But before I begin, I want to test your knowledge. I want to see if you can identify vapes today from everyday items. Okay, open your chat and I want you to tell everyone if you knew that the watch was indeed a vape, or if you were as surprised as a lot of other people were. So I've shown this video to so many people, and honestly, they tend to be speechless afterwards. I think sometimes a bit stressed and overwhelmed with the fact that companies are designing vape products to look like the most innocent items. I think it's just this whole nother level of being sinister with what the tobacco industry has been able to do and continues to do with their device designs. So as adults who are trying to address the issue, it sometimes feels like we're never going to be able to reduce usage rates or prevent another student from becoming addicted, which is why the information I share with you today is so important. So let's take a look at a few things so we can understand the totality of the industry before we really implement any educational strategies. So the National Youth Tobacco Survey is a self-administered survey that collects information on tobacco use behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, even exposure, so marketing, advertising. And it assesses amongst middle and high school students. The survey is conducted by both the FDA and the CDC, and they've actually been conducting the survey since 1999. So we've had multiple years, a couple of decades, of data looking at the evolution of tobacco products itself, but also the evolution of middle and high school age tobacco use. So something to note, findings are always a year behind. The 2023 survey, the data that we're looking at today, it was issued between March and June. From about 180 schools completed the survey. So data is usually released towards the end of the year. So findings from this year won't be released until pretty much the end of this year. So in 2025, we'll have a much better understanding of what usage rates were like for 2024. But it doesn't really matter. It's important to take a look at the data no matter what year it is. We're not too far removed from 2023. I think it gives us a good snapshot, a good landscape, understanding of the landscape of tobacco usage among the youth in our country. First, let's take a look at overall tobacco product usage. So from that survey, about 2.8 million youth identified that they currently use a tobacco product. Remember, tobacco products can be anything from traditional tobacco products like combustible cigarettes to vape devices. So we can see that there was a decrease among high school students from 2022 to 2023, which is great. That drop was driven by a decrease in e-cigarette usage. So that's fantastic. That's about 580,000 fewer high school students reported vaping in 2023. Obviously, a lot more work to do, but sometimes we have to celebrate those little wins. And when we talk about there's obviously some work to do, we look at middle school usage rates, and we can see that any tobacco product usage actually increased from 2022 to 2023. The data wasn't able to definitively say if there was a specific device or specific product, I should say, that increased usage rates. So we can't definitively say it was because of e-cigarettes. We just know that there was an increase in tobacco product usage. Also, something interesting to note among middle school students is that there was an increase in middle school students who were using multiple tobacco products at the same time. So maybe they're vaping and smoking cigarettes, or vaping and using smokeless tobacco like dip or chew. So some interesting things to note from those findings. Let's look more closely at e-cigarette usage. So more than 2 million youth are currently using e-cigarettes. That's 1.5, a little over 1.5 million high school students and 550,000 middle school students who are using e-cigarettes. That's more than 1 in 4 that are using on a daily basis. That's more than 1 in 3 that are using at least 20 days out of 30 days. E-cigarettes are still the most commonly used tobacco product for the 10th year in a row. So let's break down some of these findings in more detail. Let's look at the top 5 flavors that the survey reported. So a little over 50% of students who are vaping, they are choosing flavors with the word ice or iced in the name. But the #1 flavor is fruit, and fruit has been a top flavor for quite some time. Candy is #2, desserts are #3, other sweets, so you can think like cotton candy, like on the slide, or donuts as the 4th, and then mint or menthol as the 5th top flavor being vaped by middle school and high school students. Let's look at top brands. Keep in mind, some of these brands are going to look, the top brand to you might not be an Elf bar. It might be something else. We're in different parts of the state. Different devices are popular in different parts of the state. But overall, in country, I should say, overall, though, disposables are the most popular among middle school and high school students who are vaping. So Elf bar, Escobar, Mr. Frog. Then pod-based being Views or Juul. Believe it or not, Juul is still rather popular among youth who are vaping. So like I mentioned, the #1 brand is Elf bar, and that will change. It probably already has, and there are a few reasons for it. Elf bar is actually in a lawsuit right now, a trademark lawsuit. So they have stopped selling in the United States. They've changed their name to like EB Design, which is basically Elf bar. It's just EB or EB Create. So it still looks, the device itself looks the same, but the name is a little bit different. I'll actually show you a new device that they've launched recently and a few slides that I think undoubtedly will encourage some youth vaping. It's a very interesting looking device. But also other reasons why we're seeing the landmark change so frequently with popular devices. The FDA prohibits several brands and devices from either being marketed or sold in the US. So unfortunately, it's like this game of whack-a-mole. When one brand or device goes down, something else is going to pop up in its place. Maybe some of these are some other popular brands that we've heard about or seen: Smock, Hyde, Juicy Bar. Cake Bar is still one of those popular brands among youth who are vaping THC. So still maintains a very popular type of a brand. Something else to be on the lookout for, something to note, the Say What program has a youth advisory board. They are called the Say What Teen Ambassadors, and they are located all across the state. And so occasionally throughout the year, we like to poll them and ask, what type of products, new products are you seeing in your area? What's becoming more and more popular? That way we kind of have a better understanding of the different types of devices that are more commonly used in Texas. And these are a few that they mentioned that we wanted to share with you all. You might already be seeing some or all, or these might be brand new to you. On the far left, the first one from Hyde, this is a vape device designed to look like a water bottle. It can fit in the palm of the hand. So again, something else to, I guess, inspect and to see, is that really what I think it is, or is that something else? Green Smart Living, it kind of is a surprise that young people would be interested in vaping a device that looks like the first generation of an e-cigarette, but that really has a lot to do with the company and what the company does. Green Smart Living is really good at greenwashing. They're really good at making themselves seem to be the good guy. Every e-cigarette that is purchased, a plant or a tree is planted in its place. So they focus a lot on the environmental aspect. Their website talks about how they focus on clean water initiatives in other countries. They do quite a bit when it comes to environmental initiatives. And so we know young people are very passionate about the environment, which is fantastic. And they tend to use products or are more dedicated to brands that align with their beliefs, their opinions on different things, and environment being a very big one. So we are seeing more and more different vape companies doing a variety of environmentally friendly things to make themselves seem like the good guys. Even tobacco companies, ones that have been around for a long time, are trying to change their narrative to caring about the environment as well. So something interesting about that type of particular product. Another one to be on the lookout for could be one from like Mike Tyson. So I know a lot of Hollywood celebrities are developing their own brands of e-cigarettes. I think the characters are actually illegal, so we might not see as many of those moving forward, but still something very popular. The ambassador that we had asked who mentioned this was, I believe, from the Brownsville area. And then Lost Mary, we had a few TAs from East Texas say that they were seeing a lot of Lost Mary in their school. So those are just a few things that we're seeing, that our ambassadors are seeing in the state. Something else that you might want to be on the lookout for is a device designed to look like a highlighter. We are familiar with the fact that devices can look like USBs and pens, but in case you didn't know, they can also look like a highlighter.
How it works. When you pull off the fake marker tip, this is where it can be inhaled. When you pull off the lid, it's actually a charger. The packaging even says highlight and has no mention of it being a vape.
So again, something else to be on the lookout for. So this is the product that I wanted to kind of bring to your attention from the company formerly known as Elf Bar. They've taken the concept of mood jewelry and they've combined it with a vape device. It's called their thermal edition. So when the user holds the vape device in their hand, the heat from their hand will actually change the color of the device itself. It's pretty cool, right? I think a lot of young people will find that very appealing. Okay, so let's talk about nicotine concentration. I wanted to spend a few minutes discussing nicotine concentration levels found in these popular devices because levels have drastically increased over the past few years. And I really don't think it's well understood just how dangerous the concentration of nicotine is in today's vape devices. Youth especially, they have no clue what they are vaping half the time. Sometimes they know, other times they think the device itself doesn't have any nicotine at all. So I wanted to spend a few slides breaking things down for you so you can share this information with students, parents, any other adults that you interact with who are concerned about youth vaping. So when we're talking about vapes, nicotine concentration is measured in milligrams per milliliter. Vape devices that contain nicotine, it typically ranges from 0 milligrams to 50 milligrams. We've even seen it be higher sometimes. So if a device has more than 1 milliliter of e-liquid, it could potentially contain over 50 milligrams of nicotine. I want that to be a mental note for a moment because I'm going to go into that a little bit more detail in a couple of slides and why that's important to understand. Unfortunately, the FDA doesn't regulate concentration levels. So the concentration levels are inconsistent. They're all over the place. It really depends on the brand. Also, packaging is often mislabeled, so the user might not know that they could be vaping higher levels of nicotine concentration than what they think. And that could also be a reasoning behind why youth have no idea what they're vaping. These higher levels of nicotine, like 50 milligrams or higher, they're commonly found in pod systems or salt-based e-liquids, which is almost every vape on the market, if you think about it. So what I want to do is kind of go back to the very beginning, and I want to talk a little bit about how these levels have evolved over the years. So the first generation of e-cigarettes appeared in 2006, and they were not very popular among youth for several reasons. I think besides the obvious being that the first generation of an e-cigarette doesn't look anything like what devices look like today, but also, probably more importantly, the type of nicotine found inside this device is drastically different. Older generations used a form of nicotine called freebase nicotine, which is also commonly found in combustible cigarettes. You see, early on, the tobacco industry knew that nicotine was incredibly harsh to inhale. So they had to find some type of formula that made smoking more pleasurable. Otherwise, they were not going to make as much money as they did. And some of you are probably thinking about old ads that you may have seen where they're promoting new cigarette brands, now not as harsh. That's what I'm talking about. So freebase nicotine was created. Nicotine is even harsher on the throat when it's being inhaled through an electronic device and at high nicotine strengths. So I want to skip a generation and I want to go to the third generation and talk about Juul, because they're the ones to really change the game when it comes to nicotine concentration. Juul introduced a nicotine salt formula into the market. They didn't come up with it. It already existed. They just introduced it into the market. A salt formula allows for much higher levels of nicotine and an easier delivery of it. So nicotine salts cause less irritation when inhaled, so the user tends to take deeper breaths and inhale much longer. And so because of this formula and the product design, no wonder youth usage rates skyrocketed by 1,000% between 2019 and 2020. And now, 4 years later, we are still dealing with this aftermath. So it's so important to understand nicotine salts, concentration levels found in today's commonly used vapes, because it is the driving force behind these high usage rates. Nicotine found in these devices, they're so much more addictive than the nicotine from decades ago. When Juul came out, research was conducted on the nicotine strength, and it was identified that one Juul pod could contain as much nicotine as 2 packs of cigarettes. Just one pod as 2 packs of cigarettes. Yes, that's concerning, but I'm also concerned about the hundreds, maybe even thousands of other copycat devices that contain even higher levels of concentration, which are commonly found in disposables. So disposable e-cigarettes can have a nicotine concentration of up to 50 milligrams per milliliter. Over the years, device sizes have increased from 1 to 3 milliliters to up to 15 milliliters, as you can see in ESCO bars. So on the screen are the top 2 brands identified from the survey. We can see Elf Bar has 50 milligrams of nicotine per milliliter, the high end, and that device has 13 milliliters of e-liquid. The second brand, Esco Bars, that particular device, again, 50 milligrams of nicotine per milliliter, the high end, with 15 milliliters of e-liquid in that particular device. So if you multiply 50 by 15, that's about 750 milligrams of nicotine in one device, when one pack of cigarettes has 20 milligrams of nicotine. So one Elf Bar, the #1 brand in the survey, has as much nicotine as 32 packs of cigarettes in one device, The most concerning part about this is the fact that an Elf Bar typically lasts a teenager 3 to 4 days. So that's the equivalency of smoking about 8 packs of cigarettes a day when the average chain smoker smokes 2 to 3 packs a day. I do not think it's humanly possible to smoke 8 packs of cigarettes a day. Why? Nicotine salts. It makes the poison go down easier. It increases the time frame of developing an addiction. I mean, almost overnight, a young person can become addicted to vaping when it could take a cigarette smoker, weeks, maybe months. You have to think about the fact that these vapes are attached to a young person's hand like their phone is. They could be vaping in the middle of the night, they're vaping in the middle of class, vaping during school, they're vaping nonstop. When you cannot light up a cigarette and smoke in school or smoke in the middle of the night, your parents might smell it. So you can see the concern where nicotine is just readily available, literally 24/7, all hours of the day. And if that's not concerning enough, we need to understand the impact of our young people's mental health state right now. Before COVID-19, the #1 reason why youth vaped were because of flavors. After the pandemic, the #1 reason why young people are vaping is because they are stressed, they are anxious, they are depressed. And the sad part about it is that the tobacco industry has done an excellent job at lying and deceiving the public, especially young people, into thinking that vaping is going to help resolve those feelings of stress, resolve those feelings of depression and anxiety. When the scientific fact is, e-cigarette users are actually more likely to be diagnosed with depression because of the impact nicotine has on the developing brain. So a lot of concerning things to think about as we move forward with how to address this problem, the solutions that are available, and honestly, just the humanistic element that we need to have when we are working with young people and trying to help them. I know you are all most likely familiar with the passage of HB 114 requiring students who are caught with a vape device to be sent to an alternative education program. More and more, we're hearing about districts utilizing their district of innovation status in order to support students with a nicotine addiction, to provide a better way to address vaping nicotine without such punitive measures. It's so critical now more than ever that we are providing education to prevent youth from vaping, resources to help those who do vape quit. And so I want to connect you all with all the resources. Well, I won't be able to connect you with all the resources during this time frame. This section really only covers a fraction of the resources that exist from the center, from the state of Texas, and across the country. And so as Letty mentioned early on, you'll receive access to the recording. I'll share my slides, so you will have all of these slides. So if you want to review the information, if you want to forward it to a colleague, but also in addition, I will include this inventory that we've created that has a variety of prevention, intervention, cessation resources that exist to connect you with. Because again, this section is only going to cover a fraction of what's available. First, I want to start with the prevention programs here at the Texas School Safety Center. We have the community prevention program, and we also have the Say What program, which is hosting today's webinar. So the community prevention program, it provides a variety of resources and trainings mostly for adults who work with youth. The goal is obviously to reduce youth tobacco usage among middle school, high school, and college aged young people, but the resources and trainings are designed more for interacting with the adults who interact with the young people. The Say What program is different. The Say What program is about engaging with young people to engage with other young people. It's all about peer-to-peer education. It's about empowering 6th through 12th grade students to create this social norm that living a life without vaping is the best life to live. It's really putting the power in their hands to try to create that vape-free school climate or vape-free community. So all of the resources that we provide, excuse me, they have been designed with the input from our Say What teen ambassadors, because we want to ensure that we are developing and promoting youth-friendly resources that 6th through 12th graders would actually want to engage with. And so I'm going to share with you several resources that exist between the two of these programs that I think that you will find beneficial. The Say What program hosts a variety of action summits. And while our in-person summit season has ended, we have a virtual summit that is coming up Wednesday, May 22nd from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time. If you are familiar with virtual summits, then you know we've been hosting virtual summits for a few years now. We typically host one during Red Ribbon Week, and then another one towards the end of the school year, like May 22nd. It is led by the Say What teen ambassadors. So again, it's peer-to-peer education. The focus is on vaping prevention. And a main focus of the virtual summit for this year is on the effect of vaping and teen mental health. The teen ambassadors will actually be interviewing a licensed therapist who works with youth, who can explain why the concerns of not just addiction and the concerns of vaping on the youth brain, but also tips on how you can help your fellow peer quit vaping. So I think it's going to be a wonderful summit that youth across the state, I think information will resonate with them, will connect them to resources and advocacy opportunities for those who are interested in just sharing the information that they learn with their peers and community members. Registration will open soon in the coming days. So if you do not receive emails from us, if you were maybe forwarded today's webinar from someone else, definitely join our email list. You can access it visiting any webpage on our website, such as the Summit webpage at the bottom. So when registration does open, we'll send out an email letting everyone know, but you'll also be able to access that information through the website. We also encourage schools to host watch parties. So if you can air the virtual summit, it will be held through Zoom. You can air it through every elective period, homeroom, or you can get all of 9th grade together in the auditorium. It's whatever you think is best, but definitely keep your eyes and ears open for when registration opens. Additional online trainings that the Say What program offers are modules in addition to today's webinar. Modules are designed for both youth and adults to attend, while today's webinar is really geared more towards adults. But the topics are a wide range, such as the history of tobacco prevention in Texas, the evolution of tobacco products, advocacy skills for youth who want to be leaders in their school and in their community. The modules are self-paced, so you can come and go as you please. There's a quiz at the end. You'll receive a certificate of completion. We're working on launching a new module. We're also working on revamping our module platform to make it even more engaging than it already is. Another resource to connect you with is campus signage. It's critical that your campus or your place of business, if you have policy that says your campus is tobacco vape free, it's imperative that you have signage that states that. People need to know, not just your student body, but your parents, your visitors. It's important that everybody knows that vaping and other tobacco products cannot be used while on campus. And so both the Community Prevention Program and the Say What program offer a variety of campus signage that you can request for free, simply by visiting the links down at the bottom of the slide. And they are linkable, so when you get these, when you get the slides, you can click it and it will take you to the correct page. Another resource that you may find beneficial are youth-focused cessation posters. Several are from the Vapes Down campaign that is created by the Texas Department of State Health Services. There's another cessation resource created by Truth Initiative that I will go over in a few more slides. So these are free to request as well. Just like the campus signage, the link at the bottom is clickable. It's linked, so you will go straight to the webpage to request those. Okay, so let's talk about some curriculum for a little bit. Stanford University School of Medicine has a lab that focuses on reducing youth substance use and other risky behaviors. They have several types of curriculum available that are prevention focused as well as intervention focused. They offer curriculum for elementary, middle, and high school. They also have curriculum on cannabis prevention. So they have some wonderful resources available that are completely free that can be implemented in the classroom setting. So if you have not heard of this program, I would recommend taking a look at it and seeing how you might be able to implement it where you're at. Other curricula that is available, the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center has an Aspire program. They have it's essentially kind of like a game. It's pretty cool, I think. The person has an avatar. It's self-paced, I should say. You can assign this outside of school. The young person doesn't have to take it while at school. They can complete it at home. So they have an avatar. It's like a video game. There's different levels that they have to go through where they learn about tobacco usage, things of that nature. So it is a rather popular type of program among young people. And then, of course, Catch My Breath from Catch Global Foundation. They have so many wonderful curriculums that are available covering a variety of things, but this is their vaping prevention program. Catch My Breath is not free. There are different packages that you can request for different prices. So just a few curricula to connect you with. Let's take a look at some additional resources that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. Just kind of some of those things to have in the back pocket in case you need to use it. So the first few slides are about cessation resources, because we cannot deny the fact that there are so many young people who are addicted to vaping. Those young people that you come across in school that have been caught with a vape, and you may be sending them to an alternative education program. You can't just send them there and give them an educational program. You have to connect them with some type of cessation resource. Whether you put them in an alternative education program or not, if you come across a young person that is vaping, ask, do you want to quit? Because I can get you help. And these next few slides are that help. So as I mentioned earlier, the Truth Initiative has created a cessation program for 13 to 24-year-olds. It's called This Is Quitting. MD Anderson and Truth Initiative have worked together to provide free cessation resources for Texas youth. So any young person that wants to quit, there is a specific code that they text, and that's on the screen. It's VapeFreeTX to 88709, and their help is paid for. It's confidential, 24/7 support. Nobody will know about anything. You, teachers, parents, nobody will know if they utilize this resource. If you want to hang up some campaign resources for your school, you can email that email on the screen, and they should send you some resources. Another great thing about Truth Initiatives, This Is Quitting, they also have a parent resource. A lot of times parents want to help their child quit, but they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. Parents need help too. They need support. They need resources as well. And so This Is Quitting also has a code that parents can text, and they'll be able to get inspiration, tips, whatever it is they might need in order to help their child quit vaping. The Texas Department of State Health Services also has cessation resource. It is their quit line. They can call that number on the screen. This is also free, confidential. It's 24/7 support. I believe they might also have a texting program. I think it's in the development stages, maybe being finalized or tweaked. But as of right now, it is a number that young people can call. And it's also available for adults as well. It's not just youth. This particular quit line is available for anybody. Another resource to connect you with is actually a parent organization. A lot of parents, like I mentioned before, don't know what to do. And even parents who don't have a child that vapes, but they want to be in the know, they want to know what's going on, what to look for, all of those things. Maybe if you're looking to try to host a parent training or presentation, something, this is a national organization, Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes. They're advocacy focused, they're education focused, and they are parents, all of them. They are volunteering their time in order to bring resources, toolkits, podcasts, conferences, presentations, you name it, to other parents in the country. It's a wonderful organization to connect yourself with. The creators of this particular program, their kids were actually approached by Juul when they were in high school. And they went to Congress to testify in front of Congress about what Juul was doing. So these moms that started this program are huge advocates for really empowering parents to know more about the vaping situation. So a great tool to connect, a great resource, I should say, to connect yourself with. And then the last resource that I want to share with you has to do with school policy. So if you haven't taken a look at your school policy in a while, if you're not sure what the verbiage says, if it includes the words vaping, or if it isn't generic enough to include any type of vape device, because I'll say vape devices, they have evolved and they continue to evolve. There are vape devices out there now that are called like wellness sticks, and they don't contain any nicotine, but they have essential oils in them. Well, how do you address that? How do you know what is a nicotine containing device versus a weird essential oils device? And there's a lot out there, a lot of confusion. You might not know where to start, how to take a look at your policy and update it so it's sound and can be implemented efficiently. This is the place to start. The Public Health Law Center at Mitchell Hamline School of Law has some wonderful resources that you can use, toolkits that you can read. I think they even have like templates that you can utilize to take a look at your own school policy. Or if you work with schools, this would be a great resource to connect yourself with. So I've shared a lot in a short amount of time. I know we have some time left over for Q&A, so I'm hopeful that we have some great questions that we can spend some time chatting about. This is the best way to connect with the Say What program. We have every single social media platform that you can imagine. That is our website, our email address. That's my direct phone number. If you'd like to contact me about anything, I'm happy to talk to you. If you just need help kind of trying to figure out how do you address HB 114 and what do you do? We've heard from schools where the first offense is an educational program, and then the second offense, they go to DAEP. What type of educational resources programs could you implement? Honestly, anything that I shared with you from the Say What program could work. But give us a call, email us, and we're happy to kind of brainstorm and talk through what you think would be best for your students and for your campus. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Letty and see if there's questions.
Hey, Kathleen. All right. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody. This chat has been going on really well. And then also too, just as a reminder, these slides and a recording will be emailed and sent to you. But let's go ahead and go into the Q&A. So some questions, Kathleen, have already been answered, but I'm going to go ahead and share them just so that in case there's anybody else that's on that would like to know those answers as well. So the first one is, we rarely deal with nicotine vapes, but most, if not are all THC cartridges. Is there anything more focused on the THC vaping? And then there was a response saying, yes, resources are coming up later in the webinar.
That would be Stanford. Yeah, I think
Yes,
Stanford
the
School of
Stanford one.
Medicine. They have a toolkit that's specific to the cannabis awareness. That's where you want to look. The Say What program focuses on nicotine specifically. And we do try to talk about where THC and nicotine intersect with vaping, but they would have all the information, curriculum, all of that. I recommend taking a look at Stanford.
And the next one are most vapes plastic? Our metal detectors are not picking them up.
Hmm. You know, in all honesty, that's the first time I've heard that.
It was shared that some are metal, but a lot are plastic. So,
Yeah.
and is there going to be a discussion on HB 114? And yes, Kathleen did cover that as well. Are you, when it comes to student ambassadors, are you referring to student ambassadors? Will be explaining, or will you be explaining more about this? So they wanted to know a little bit more about the ambassadors.
So the Say What Teen Ambassadors, thank you for that question. That's a great question. The Say What Teen Ambassadors are a group of high school students from across the state who are very passionate about being the youth voice for youth tobacco prevention. They work with us, the Say What staff, to develop a variety of educational resources, online trainings, these summits. They actually facilitate the summits. So it's all peer-to-peer education at our in-person events. We have a statewide conference coming up in July as well, where all of the teen ambassadors develop presentations and training sessions, and they facilitate that. But they serve as a local expert. They connect their school and their community with concerns and questions about not just vaping, but all tobacco product usage. They have the ability to work with other youth across the country. They also have the opportunity to meet with elected officials, whether that be locally or statewide, sometimes even nationally. They have the opportunity to bring concerns, their own concerns, what they're seeing in their own schools, to the attention of our elected officials. So that way they know what youth really are seeing in the school setting and what their concerns are. So they are the state's youth advisory board when it comes to engaging youth in tobacco prevention.
And the next set of questions, Kathleen, is there a source for the reason for vaping data, or would that be the National Youth Tobacco Survey?
Yes, that is correct. The bottom of the slide, it has the link to where you can access the data, the report, everything that I pulled that from.
And
That's
then
also where you will find 2024 data. So if you want to be proactive and you want to learn, figure it out for yourself, you can go there, and all that information should be on maybe another web page, but it's all on that website.
then we have four more pending questions. I'm a clinical manager for a program that offers substance abuse treatment to juveniles in the Brazoria County and Galveston County areas. Is it okay if we provide our information to those that may need it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even though the program is mostly focused on prevention efforts, there are plenty of youth across the state, across the country, that can benefit from the information that we are sharing. Because a lot of times they don't know, they don't have the facts to be able to make healthier decisions for themselves. So yes, please do share.
Are the vapes actually recyclable, or are they just polluting out landfills?
They're not recyclable. They are toxic waste. They are definitely polluting our landfill. So I think when it comes to how to dispose of it, the concern could be around the battery device exploding. I know there are different hazardous waste facilities that will collect vapes. Sometimes they do charge for that, but no, you cannot recycle them. It's hazardous waste. One, because of the battery, and two, because of the nicotine and other chemicals found in the e-juice.
Then the next one is, can the ambassadors create short video clips of awareness that can be downloaded every few weeks so that they can disseminate via school video clips?
The ambassadors do create a wide variety of social media content. It kind of varies every year. Sometimes it's short clips like Instagram Reels. If you follow us on social media, we encourage everybody to repost, reshare everything that we post. So if you're a school and you have your own social media, follow us, repost our content, reshare our content. The Say What program also has a YouTube channel, TX Say What. That's like the handle for everything, so it's easy to remember. They are, in the past, we've done vlogs with the teen ambassadors where they've talked about a couple of different topics. There are all kinds of unique educational videos that are designed just for youth. So I would start there. And then I will take a closer look at that comment to make sure I understand. And maybe you've given us an idea of something we could do for next year.
And then another question that came in is, and how might we know if we have local ambassadors, student ambassadors?
Reach out to us. Contact us at Say What, and we can let you know if you have a local ambassador and connect you with it. If you don't, the Say What program has hundreds of Say What member groups across the state. I think it's like almost 1,000 Say What member groups in the school-based setting, community setting, faith-based, and tribal. And so if there isn't an ambassador in your area, there could be a very active youth group in your area that we could connect you with. So a lot of times schools ask us to deliver presentations, and we are such a small team, it's really difficult for us to travel. So we do try to connect people with other youth who are already doing what we're doing, who can present the information that we would present. So just contact us and we can see.
And for schools, are there any vape detection devices that would be recommended? Are certain ones better than others?
I do not have an opinion on vape devices. If you choose to install a vape device, that is your own choice. I genuinely think that it's important to focus on educational prevention strategies like curriculum, empowering your student body to host awareness projects and events, and empowering them to create a different social norm, those types of things. If you choose to go the vape detector route, please don't let that be the only thing that you do. Please ensure that you're implementing other evidence-based strategies. I think that's the better route to go. And to highlight what Michael has said, we are learning from a lot of schools that did go the vape detector route that it's not working for them anymore because they either don't care or they have found a different place to vape. So some food for thought, if you want to go the vape detector route.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing quite a few people agreeing.
Those are all the questions so far, Kathleen.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? There was one earlier in the chat that I wrote down for you. One person was wondering if they could post this recording on their website.
Contact me so I can learn more about what it is you're trying to do. The recording will be available on our website and on our YouTube channel. But if you'll reach out to me and let me know what it is you're doing, I would appreciate that.
All right, if that is, would you like me to leave open for a couple more questions or?
I think like what you said early on, Letty, that we'll take a look at everything that we came in, make sure we answered everything, put together a Q&A document and send that out. And everybody will have access to my slides. Please share this content with everybody that you know. I mean, share the recording, share the slides, share everything. We are a resource for you all. We want to be able to help you, educate you, inform you whatever you might need, please know that we're here to support you and help you. It can feel overwhelming and daunting with how do I get this under control? But you're not alone. We're all trying to work on this together. And so we will all figure out a way to address it together. So we're here for you.
And also, just as a reminder, after this, you'll be receiving an email that's going to be requesting an evaluation to complete so you can get a certificate of participation. So look out for that. Okay, well, thank you all for today.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.